Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife Hayes, and in this episode of Cardboard Cosplay, we're going to be making a Helm of Neitiznot. Helm of Neitiznot from Old School Runescape. Now, with making any helmet, I'll superimpose a picture of the helmet on the screen right now. The first problem we'll face is it's a dome shape. And how on earth do you make a dome shape out of straight cardboard? Well, I'm going to show you. First thing you'll need is a piece of cardboard that goes all the way around the circumference of your head. So let's cut one of those out now. Excellent. This strip of cardboard is just long enough to go around my whole head and meet back at the front. But if I put it on exactly like this, the helmet's going to be really tight and uncomfortable for wear for long periods of time. So I'm going to cut out a little bit more, just to duct tape onto the end there to give it a little bit more room, make it slightly wider, because we're going to be wearing it as a cosplay for quite a while. Now, with the addition of the slight extra bit of cardboard, I've got a piece of cardboard that wraps all the way around my head perfectly to about there. Now, if you were wearing a real helmet, you wouldn't be putting it straight onto your head. Even though I've got quite a bit of hair, I wouldn't be putting it straight onto my head. You'd be wearing some kind of padding underneath it. So when we make this helmet, I'm going to find some sort of padding. So if you've got a beanie hat, maybe grab one of those, that'd be perfect. I think I've got one over here. It's not very fashionable, I know, doesn't go with anything else I'm wearing, but it does give me a bit of extra room to work out how big the helmet needs to be. Once you've worked out the exact size of your head, place this round and then duct tape this together. So this will form the start of our helmet. Now you'll notice as I've been using cardboard, it hasn't bent in a perfectly smooth curve. It's got these little kinks here in the corner. So just go around and roll it to make sure that it is bending in a smooth curve, because it will be important for it to be like that pretty soon. Let's get it all smooth all the way around. Be careful when you're doing this, make sure you don't rip the actual cardboard. Ace. So this should now fit comfortably over my head. It does, this fits perfectly. What I'm now going to do is take another thin strip of cardboard and measure the distance from one side of my head over the top to the other side of my head. Let's do that now. So I've discovered that this length of cardboard is about the length I need to go over the top of my head and reach down to the sides. If I place the first original oval back on, that'll be the width of the helmet, this will go over the top and it will attach to the sides just there. It's looking a bit like a mind helm, one of those elemental helms from the Elemental Workshop quest right now. So what I now need to do is duct tape this over the top bit onto the main circle bit. Let's do that now. So what we have now is an extremely basic frame for the helmet. We've got the outer ring going around where my forehead and the back of my head and sides of my head are, and one support strut over the top. I now need several more support struts. I need one going from the front to the back, then I need the two diagonals as well, making a cross shape. So what I need to do now is cut out quite a few more strips of cardboard as thick as this, and have one going from front to back, and then the others from corner to corner, and then corner to corner. I'll show you real specifics of these strips as I do them, but for now, I'm going to need 8 more cardboard strips. I now have a helmet with 2 support beams over the top, which fits pretty nicely on my head with a little bit of room either side. The first thing you'll start to see is there is a crossover. There is 2 layers. This very center bit just here, you're going to have the layer of cardboard from the bottom and the layer of cardboard from the top. Now this is not really much of a problem with 2 layers of cardboard, but we're going to put multiple across these and it's going to get a real problem. It's going to stack up. So what I need to do is take my scissors and cut just there and just there to get rid of this overlaying top square and then duct tape them together. This is to make sure the top of the helmet is all one layer. There's no stacks of cardboard building up on top of it. So I will do that now. Great. I've got the top bit removed. I cut out this small square from the very top and it's now one smooth layer. Just like I've taken these strips across and from the front and back and the side and side, I now need to do the same with the diagonals. We're going to do this repeatedly all the way around and that will eventually almost finish our helmet shape. Now once again, as you lay these diagonals on, you'll notice the same problem. They are overlayering the top and we're getting this build-up of cardboard. Now, cutting out the first layer was pretty easy because we only had to cut straight across to make a little square. For this layer, we're going to have to cut down at like a triangular shape, an inward shape. In fact, we can even draw it underneath by looking at the bottom of the helmet and just tracing where it crosses over the lines. I'll show you what I mean close up in a second. So as we have multiple layers of cardboard all together, this layer that I'm sticking down now is going over the top, and it shouldn't be. It should be smooth. You see the lines I've drawn just there, the pen lines. I need to cut there, and that will allow this top bit to slot nicely into just there. That way we'll have a smooth helmet instead of a multi-layered stacking helmet on top. So I'm going to do that now with all of the layers. I'm going to lay the other one on top as well, cut them all out at a slight angle so they all fit smoothly together. As you progress through doing this and you add more and more support struts like I'm doing, you may notice that a few of the original struts, the forward and backward and the left and right, they're bulging out quite a bit. If we hold it up to the camera, I don't know if you can see, but this bit just here is bulging out more than it should do. That's fine, because we have time to relocate and to recheck. So what I'm going to do, make a cut here, and then I'm going to make a cut maybe about 5 millimeters in on the same one, and then just duct tape it together like that, so it makes it a little bit smoother and a bit tighter. It pulls it in. We need to be reassessing all these measurements as we go because we haven't measured this. So if we discover that we measured wrong the first time, or there are a few issues that we need to fix, we need to be fixing them as we go. So feel free, because it is cardboard and we are using duct tape and we can fix our mistakes, feel free to cut and remeasure and restick as you go to make a nice smooth helmet. I've nearly finished with this. I'll keep going. I have now added enough support struts to the helmet to end up with this. It's not a perfect circle because no one's head is a perfect circle. It's more of a dome and it fits nicely. And the only thing we have remaining are the triangles, the empty triangular sections in between where all the bits of cardboard are. So what I'm going to do now, instead of cutting strips again, is I'm just going to cut triangles for each and every one, fit it together, mould it until it's right, and then duct tape it in. Might take a bit of trial and error to get all the triangles you need. In fact, you can see that one's still sticking out a bit, Matt. So I've got to cut that even further down. But we'll cut out triangles, we'll fill these gaps in, then we'll duct tape that together. It's really important that this dome, this actual base of the helmet, be really strong because everything else we're building will be building off this. So let me go through, cut out some triangles, and just do some final tweaks to all of these struts. Let's do this now. Here is an example of the first triangle. So I've got these triangular spaces in between this helmet I need to fill in, and I've cut this bit out of cardboard. If I layer this bit onto the helm just there, you'll notice that it folds really neatly and really nicely in and pretty much follows the curve of the whole thing. So that is what we need, but for all of them. Let's do that now. Would you look at this? We have got the start of the prototype now. It's not perfect. If I turn this around slowly in front of the camera, you'll see it's far from being perfect. There are issues. Some are bulging out slightly more. Some aren't pushed in all the way. It's not connected. It's not fully... It doesn't need to be perfect. Don't worry about perfection. Get as close as you can to this. Now, it still fits pretty comfortably on my head. Now, we'll have the Helm of Neitiznot bits going on all around. Next thing to do is to completely cover this in duct tape. This needs to be strong, tough, and powerful. So duct tape all around the edge, duct tape over the top, fill in all those gaps. Remember earlier I mentioned about wearing some kind of cloth or some kind of protective cap on top of your head and underneath the helmet. One of the big reasons we'll do that with a duct tape helmet is if your hair gets stuck between the cardboard gaps and stuck to the duct tape, when you take the helmet off, it'll pull your hair out, and that really hurts. It gets really annoying after a while as well. So when we duct tape the inside of it, make sure you're covering any exposed sticky bit of duct tape. Right, this whole thing in tape. Let's go. And here we go. This is the first part of the helmet. This is the black bowl top, the cap. Again, it's oval, not circle, because people's heads are not circle shaped. They are oval shapes, like an egg kind of shape going on. That fits on perfectly to my head. Let's have a look at that Helm of Neitiznot picture again. Let's bring it up. I'll bring it up on the screen for you guys, and I will have it on my phone here. And we'll have a look at what else we need to add to this helmet. Now, the first thing you might see is the two huge wings coming off, but I'm not too bothered about those wings. I don't want to focus on those yet. I want to focus on the sides of the helmet, the bit where it comes down over the face. If you have a look, you'll see that it comes down over the face. It covers the cheeks, and then around the back as well, around the back of the head, there's a slight neck covering. Now, something to note with helmets, if I put a helmet on here and I bring a neck covering down to the back of my neck, I won't be able to look up. Because if there's a solid piece of covering just there where my neck is, if I try and look up, it'll stab into the back of my neck and dig in. So when we cut this neck covering, we're going to have to cut a semicircle in the back to give the helmet room to allow me to look up. For now, what do I need? I need two pieces of cardboard coming down here and then around the side. So if I put one big piece of cardboard, like a veil, going all around the back, I can then cut it to the right shape. So let's draw out a veil and then cut all around the back now. The front of the helmet's open, so I'm not too bothered about that. Let's get the sides and the back done right now. This channel has claimed its first victim, the first 50-meter roll of duct tape, but this duct tape did do the entire Bandos Godsword and most of the Helm of Neitiznot, so we can get another roll of duct tape. I need to start making a count of how many rolls I used, because it's going to be quite a lot by the end. I'm still finishing off adding the skirt or the edging onto this helmet. I've added on some duct tape and a temporary attachment to this nape or this neck guard. There's probably a technical name for it, but I'm not sure what it is. I'm not clued up on medieval helmets that well. If I put this on now, I'll notice a couple of things. First of all, your hearing kind of goes. Secondly, if I turn sideways, you'll see it's way too long. It's cutting into my shoulders, so I need to lose quite a bit of length off the bottom right there, so let's just cut that round. This is why I only temporarily stuck it down. Let's lose at least maybe 2 inches off the bottom of this all the way around. It's better, but now we're getting the issue with the neck. Remember I told you about the neck? It's giving my neck just there. If I look up, it hits the back of my neck. So what we'll need to do to combat that is cut a semicircle into here, which will allow for movement. Helmets are great. Helmets really do increase your defense. In real life, if you're wearing a helmet, fantastic. Your head's a bit protected. But if you're doing that at the expense of movement, if you're doing it at the expense of agility and actually being able to look around and see, it's not always a good trade-off. So helmets still need to be mobile and agile. Protective, yes, but we cannot sacrifice mobility for that. So I'm going to cut maybe another ½ inch off all the way around and then get that semicircle cut out. With the semicircle, as this is a difficult shape to cut, how am I going to make sure that I'm getting it equal? Let me show you. I have cut a small slit, the back of the helmet, the back of the nape of the neck thing just here, roughly where I think is the centre. Then I took a piece of cardboard and used it. This is no specific measurement, it's just a length of cardboard. And I wrapped it round the base to about there. I'm going to get a pen and I'm going to mark just there how far this cardboard is. Then I'll do the same on the opposite side as well. I'll measure it from the cut that I made around to the end of this piece of cardboard. I'll mark it just there. And now I've got 2 pen marks and a cut slit. I'm going to draw a casual curve going to the top, another casual curve going to the top that way. And this should, in theory, mean that it's almost a perfectly symmetrical semicircle. In theory. Might not work in practice, but when I tell you that I don't know what I'm doing and I'm just kind of giving it a go, I'm being honest. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's find out. Excellent. And now if I try and look up, it's still going to catch the back of my shirt, but nowhere near as bad. I've got actual mobility in the back of this helmet now. It's catching my clothes, but it wouldn't catch any armour. Now let's have a look at the side bits. These bits just here. How far do they need to come out? How much do they look like my cheeks? Now I can actually see, if you look at the picture of the helmet, that this side section here, it's not flat. It actually kind of goes back in, like it juts out. The cheek, where the cheekbone down here would be, it actually juts out a little bit. So I'm going to cut in slightly there to give this jutting out effect. Let's do that now. That's better. Now we've got these jutting out bits just like the helm actually has. We've still got to attach the golden trim. I'll be doing that very, very last. I'm aware there is a golden trim. I think the next most important thing to do is to completely cover this in duct tape, because I'm happy with this as a basic shape. I'm happy with this as the helmet so far, but I'm aware that I'm working with a very delicate piece right now, because I've even cut quite substantially into the duct tape supports when I was cutting out this little angle at the front. So I'm going to cover the whole thing in duct tape to make it really strong, make sure I don't accidentally break it while I'm building it. When it's finished, it'll be really strong, but right now it's still a bit weak. So duct tape time. Quick note, I am also securing the inside of the helmet to itself, as well as the outside and the edging to make sure there's no cardboard edges showing. You really can't go wrong by applying more and more and more layers of duct tape, so if you've got the tape, just go for it. Throw it everywhere, just make sure to stick down the edges, otherwise you may rip your hair out when you put this helmet on. Again, another reason to wear something on top of your head underneath the helmet. But as far as securing the inside as well as the outside goes, go for it. Not quite finished yet, so I'm going to carry on. Here we go. That is one completely duct tape covered helm base. Now it's still got some changes to be made. The neck's fine, I'm okay with that. We now need to focus on, we've still got the gold trim around everywhere to do, but I want to focus right now on the wings, the big Helm of Neitiznot wings. Let's bring the picture back up and have a look at these wings. I'll put the picture on the screen again as well. If we were making this out of metal, they would be bolted onto the side. You can see they've got this slight relief, this raised bit. They bolt onto the side, and they're not just straight up. They kind of go up and then back and then up and then back quite a bit. And they're about the actual height of the full helmet. They're pretty substantial things. Because we're making these out of cardboard, I'm going to need to use some of the thicker cardboard so they actually stand up by themselves. I might even use 2 or 3 layers of cardboard with the corrugations crisscrossing in various directions just to make sure they don't fold or fall down or become too floppy one way or the other. Right, let me draw what I think is going to be a good design for these metallic feathers, and then let me cut them out. Let's do that now. This is my first prototype of the wing that will go on the side of the head. It'll be like that. I'm not too happy with it because I quite like the fact that it goes backwards. That's decent. But it needs to be more solid here, more substantial, because we need the feathering to come out. So I'm going to cut it out again, but I'm going to make it slightly bigger. I am much happier with this one. We'll have the helmet there, we'll have the wings on the side of it, we'll get the feathering going down the edge just there, and we'll have one either side. It'll make it pretty big, but it's a Helm of Neitiznot. It's meant to be pretty big. It's a royal helmet. It needs to look pretty awesome. The wings are big. You don't realise how big the wings are until you put the helmet on. I will need 2 of these, one for either side. I might make this slightly shorter. I'll need one for either side, but I'll also need several of these actual things cut out because I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I'll cut it down to about there. I'll need several of these cut out because if I just put one on and the helmet gets wet or gets damaged, it's just going to flop over and stay flopped over like that. That's not going to be any good. So I'm going to get all the spare cardboard I've got, cut out several of these, and then take them together until they're pretty thick and pretty substantial, just like the Bandos Godsword was. Let's do that now. I have now got 5 different versions of the wings. I'm going to put 2 of them together, put the other 2 or 3 together. I will duct tape these to be solid. I will duct tape these to be solid, and then I will tape the wings themselves onto the helmet. Just before I do that, I've noticed a detail on the wings. I'll put it back on the screen for you. You'll see, when I say feathering, I mean some parts of the wings have been cut out, haven't they? It looks like feathers. Even though these are meant to be metallic, they've made it look like feathers. From what I can see on that image, there are 3 distinct cuts in to the feathers. So let's do those now. Let's make 3. Even if they're not exactly the same shape or size, I'm going to make 3 very distinct cuts in to these feathers. That way we at least have a similar looking helmet. Right, there we go. That is 3 very distinct cuts in to the actual feather itself. So when I paint it, it should look significantly more like a Helm of Neitiznot. Again, I'm happy with those 3 cuts. I might adjust them slightly, but I'm pretty happy in general with where they are. I made them a bit bigger to make it slightly more obvious. Yeah, it's always nice when the cosplay is chunky. You can see all the details in there. Once I've done this, I will tape these together and add it onto the helmet. But first, let's add this feathering. Yeah, if I cut it like this, you'll notice that by taking slightly more out, gives it a real chunky kind of look, real regal. Okay, let's do this to all of them right now. That is one of the wings covered completely in duct tape. It's taken a while because it's quite fiddly to get into these little gaps just here, but it's definitely worth it. Make sure you reinforce this top bit just here because that's going to be the weakest part. Now do exactly the same thing to the second pair. I've now got both of the wings feathered and duct taped up. They are pretty damn strong actually. They can bend if you try, obviously it's cardboard, but accidental damage definitely not going to do too much to this. One of them is to be attached to one side, one will be attached to the other, and you can see how we are starting to look like the finished product. We're starting to look like the final Helm of Neitiznot. Now attaching these will probably be one of the riskiest things we do. So we're going to need to take a copious amount of duct tape to make sure it's real strong and real secure. But it's time for a cup of tea before we do this, so let's take a 2-minute break, then we'll come back and finish this off. Tea acquired. Now to attach the two wings either side of the helmet. Now because these wings are sticking up quite a bit, I'm going to need to make sure to put a lot of tape holding these on. What I'm going to have to actually do is tape these wings to it. And if you just put one piece of duct tape on, what will happen is the wings will slowly over time just fall down like that because the duct tape will peel off. So once the wing is taped on, I will need to take another second piece of duct tape and actually tape that duct tape to make sure that is secured. So this will be a trial and error test of taping a piece down and then taping that tape down and then taping that tape down. It all forms a crisscross of strong kind of duct tape engineering style work, and hopefully it will be strong enough to hold it all together. After I've done that, I'll need to add another layer across the visor and the nose guard, but we'll do that next. For now, let me see if I can attach these to the helmet. And we are nearly finished. So far, I'd say we're looking pretty good. What we need to add now is, if you look at the picture of the Helm of Neitiznot, there is a gold band around the forehead bit on the front, then a nose guard that comes down as well. That gold band actually continues around the back of the helmet, and there's a gold trim. Now the band in the game isn't actually part of the 3D model, it's just a gold texture, but I want it to be part of our 3D model. So I'm going to cut a thin band of cardboard, place it around here to give an actual 3D relief effect. I'll continue doing the same around the back. It'll be easy to follow because I just have to follow the actual parts of the helmet all the way around. and then we get the little nose guard coming down there as well. So let's cut the band out and the nose guard out now. Let's duct tape it all together and see what the final actual model is going to look like before we paint it. On the front of the helmet, as you can see, I've now got the border going around. You can't make it out too well on the camera, but it looks good in 3D. There is this nose guard along with what looks like a golden painted kind of arrow pointing up on the forehead. So I've cut out this little bit of cardboard here, which is going to be taped on just there and painted over to allow the relief. The nose guard that I've left on this bit of cardboard I don't think is quite long enough, so I've cut another tiny little bit out that I'm going to tape on just to make sure it's wrong. So I'm going to tape all this together and then attach this to there, and then I think once this is attached on, we will actually have the final physical model and we can finally put some colour onto it. And here we have it. One cardboard and duct tape wearable Helm of Neitiznot. What we need to do now is spray paint it all silver, then paint the edging in gold, add in some final black fine line highlights with a black marker pen, and we will have another completed cardboard cosplay. So let's go spray paint this all in silver and give it 20 minutes to dry. And we have been spray painted silver. This is the helmet. Now it's been fully spray painted silver. It's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with what we have so far. Now the feathers are pretty heavy, so if you turn your head a bit too quickly, they tend to push around a bit. But that's okay, because remember, we're going to be wearing this with some kind of cap, some kind of base under the helmet and on top of your head, which will make it filled out slightly. If it ends up being too big, I can always pad it out with some of that foam padding you tend to find inside bicycle helmets. I'm really happy with how the silver's turned out. Now we need to add the gold edging. I popped to Wilko's and I picked up some gold furniture paint and some cheap brushes. Is this going to work? No idea. Let's find out. Let's open up this gold paint and paint the fine details onto the Helm of Neitiznot. Quick note, I am wearing a waistcoat because you never want to paint in a white shirt. That's always a bad idea. Always wear clothes you don't mind getting damaged. The first layer of paint has been successfully added and we are starting to get there. Now the thing with painting is it's always about multiple layers, so I'll wait for this one to dry. Might take about an hour and then I'll add another layer of gold paint on top to make it really pop. You might notice that the gold and the silver blend together quite a bit, but that's not an issue. What I'm going to do is take a black, pretty chunky, pretty thick black permanent marker and draw an edging around all of it. Now the edging isn't in the game, but it will make all cosplay look slightly more video gamey. It'll give it this nice kind of pop art style to it. A nice defined black line between the colours just helps it pop out, helps it show how detailed it can be. Anyone looking at your cosplay will see the black fine line and there'll be a difference, like we did with the Bandos Godsword when we differentiated between the actual handguard and the blade. So for now, all I have to do is leave this for about an hour to dry. I have added the second layer of gold paint, and it makes it stand out and pop a little bit more. Now on this side I haven't yet added the black line, so you can see there's no real contrast between the gold paint and the silver, but on this side I've started to add that black line. It's just going to be a permanent marker as I go around and draw a thin black line all the way around on every part. So I'm going to finish that thin black line right now. Once that's done, the whole helmet will be finished. So let's go ahead and draw that black line. Done. Cardboard, duct tape, some paint, and the edging of a permanent marker. You can see how the edging really allows the colours to be defined from each other, to stand out and pop. This is a wearable Helm of Neitiznot. I'll add some padding to the inside before I ever wear it to a cosplay convention or RuneFest, but as far as the actual helm goes, I'm really happy with this. Right, as usual, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on this build. It's been quite good fun. It's always difficult to make a dome shape out of cardboard, but I think we got there. I'll use that technique in the future. If you'd like to join me live, I'm streaming 5 nights a week on Twitch at twitch.tv/Josh Strife Hayes. I don't like asking for likes or subscribes or comments, but I do work on YouTube, and unfortunately we do live or die by them, so if you have enjoyed the video, a like would be much appreciated. Thank you very much for your time, take care, and have a good night.